Oh, welcome everybody. In this little video we are going to see how to install Anaconda on Windows. Well, I tried to install it also on the Mac and honestly it's exactly the same, so there is no doubt about it. Okay, let's see. First of all, you have to go to anaconda.com. Anaconda.com here. Okay, which is the website of Anaconda. You may click on, for example, Get Started. Download Anaconda installers. Okay, it should detect your operating system, okay, and propose directly the right one. If you don't, if it doesn't get the right one, you just click here on your operating system, Windows, Mac, and Linux. Okay, always choose the 64 bits graphical installer. I seriously doubt that you have such an old computer as a 32-bit. Okay, click here. Okay, when you click here, it proposes you to enroll to Anaconda Nucleus. You don't need it. As you can see, it's already downloading. It's already starting. Okay, now I will now not. You press skip. I press discard because obviously I have already installed it. I have already downloaded it to avoid staying here 3 hours and a half. Here it is, Anaconda installation for Windows. Okay, let's see. Now we'll install it live together with you. In case I will cut the parts which will be too long, for example this one, which no. Okay, welcome to Anaconda, blah blah blah. Okay, the license you read carefully. I'm joking. You obviously don't read the license and you agree. Just me, all users. I have admin privileges on this computer, so I will click on all users. If you want, you can click on just me if you are the only one. Okay. Yes. Okay. Usually it's installed in disk C. If you have only one disk, there is no discussion. If you have more than one disk, you may wish to decide. My disk C is the fast one, so I will install on disk C. I have enough space. Okay. Not recommended, it's not, so I don't touch. Okay, very well. This one I suggest to click. This one is not recommended, you obey, and not recommended. Install. Oh, so fast? Incredible. Okay, it took really a long time, this time about 5 minutes. Okay, next. Working with Python and Jupyter. Okay, blah blah blah. No, I don't want PyCharm. Okay, Anaconda Individual Edition tutorial. No, I don't want to bookmark and not neither this one. Finish. Done. Okay. Now I launch it. Here I should find somewhere Anaconda. Okay. This is a symbol of Anaconda. Okay, so you launch it. You could put it also in the menu here. Perhaps it's better. Anaconda. Okay, right click. It's already in the start. Where is it? Here it is. Okay, very well. Okay, it's starting. It's not very fast as a program, because it's pretty big. It's can you see it's still initializing for me. Loading feature channels. Okay, now it's time to tell you what is Anaconda. Anaconda is a package, basically. Okay, it's a package. It contains other things. It contains basically other programs for R. R is a famous statistical programming language, and here you have RStudio. Okay, and other programs to work with Python. In particular, we use Jupyter Notebook. If you wish, you could use Jupyter Lab, which is very similar, or Spider. These all three are made for working with Python. We use the notebook, but honestly, Jupyter Lab is identical to Jupyter Notebook. Spider is somehow different, but works fine. Okay. Now I hope that everything is. Let's just check whether everything is installed. I go to environments. Okay, here these are the things which have been installed. So basically Anaconda installs all this stuff for you, otherwise you will have to install it yourself. Let's see, up the table. Okay, so for the moment we have a lot of things we could be updated. Usually I never update until I'm forced to do it. So for the moment let's go back to home. So this is the place where you can add extra packages. Packages are additions to the programming language. They are not these kind of things which are the programs, the applications. Okay, now we launch finally Jupyter Notebook, which is basically an interface to work with Python. I launch it. Jupyter Notebook opens up in your default browser. So it's not basically a standalone program. It uses the browser. You can see it's opening in my browser. Okay, beware because Jupyter opens up. Usually, it's pretty random exactly where does it open up. I manage with a lot of effort to make it open up in my unibz folder. Okay. But every time check where it opens up and try, for example, to go to your desktop or in a place which you are well aware of where it is. Okay, I don't have your computer, so I don't have any idea where does it open up for you. Okay, now this is the basic interface. This is the interface for working with files with Jupyter. Now we create a new Python file. Most of the times you will not create a new Python file. Most of the time you will open my Python files. Now we create instead a new Python file. Okay. So just to sum up, Anaconda is a distribution, is a package which contains Python and R programming language. Okay. Jupyter, it's basically the interface. It's this thing here. Okay, so this interface with all the commands written here, and Python is instead the programming language. Okay, so it's a language written to write programs. Okay, I don't go into the technical details. So, by default in Jupyter here, whenever this box is green, you have to type Python code. For example, a equals 7, this is a piece of Python code. Okay, pay attention, the box is green, it means that I may type inside. Okay, now to execute this kind of code, you could press Ctrl Enter or Shift Enter. If you press Ctrl Enter, it just executes this part of code. If you press Shift Enter, it executes this part of code and will create another cell below. Now I press Shift Enter. Okay, so it has executed this, so now you don't see anything, and has created another. These things here are called cell, like text cell. Okay, so now we have two cells. Okay, can you see? Now if I click here instead, can you see it becomes blue. Blue is very different from green, because blue means that if you type something, it doesn't get typed here inside, but you're typing commands. For example, if now I type B, so I type the letter B and it's blue, you see, poof, a new B means below, a new cell below appears. Okay, now in this cell, for example, I write D equal 4. Okay, now don't worry about executing it. I go here, click here so that it becomes blue. Now I type A means above, and I will create another cell above. Okay, above. Okay, if I type DD, I will delete a cell, DD. Okay, all these commands are also here. Can you see DD, where is the DD, delete cell, can you see DD? A insert cell above, B insert cell below. So beware, because when this thing is blue, if you type something with a keyboard, for example, you start typing like a crazy because you want to write some code, instead you're giving commands which do whatever, you never know what. So you have the usual X, C, and V to cut, copy, and paste, Z to undo, delete cell, okay? You don't need the control, directly this thing. Okay, however, I think most of the commands are all written here and very pretty clear. Now let me put also the header. Okay. Okay, that's it. So you can So beware, when it's green you can type inside. So you can see when it's green you can type inside whatever you want. Now I type some rubbish thing. And remember that with Control Enter you execute. So you basically, your program execute what's written here. So what's written here, it's performed by the computer. With Shift Enter, it's the same as Control Enter, but a new cell appears below. Now I press Control Enter. Okay, now I go back here and I press Shift Enter. Can you see? Oh, sorry, there was already a new cell. So with Shift Enter you execute and go below, and if there is no cell below, a new cell is created. Okay, you can see that some numbers have appeared here. The numbers that have appeared here mark the cells that have been executed. So enter order, which is pretty important. So now I know that I have executed this one and then this one. If I have here another one, which is say that d is equal to 2, and I execute it, this one is executed last. So it can be pretty important later on. Okay, so this is the first type of cell that you see. You can change the type of cell. So when it's blue, you go here. Instead of code, choose Markdown. We will never use the other two, so choose Markdown. Okay, if it is Markdown, it means that you can write. Here you can write your own comments. Okay, so you can see you can write your own comments. And what happens if you, for mistake or deliberately execute a cell which is a Markdown cell and not a code cell? Well, and now I execute it, Shift Enter. Okay, you can see it becomes a comment by all effect. You can add some extra features. For example, you can add the sharp symbol here, or the hashtag, as you probably see. This is a title. Sorry, I forgot to convert it to Markdown. Okay, can you see if it starts with one hash, it's a big title. 2 hashes are smaller, 3 hashes are smaller, even smaller, smallest. Okay. Now let's leave it big. Now I execute it, Shift Enter. Okay, and this is a title. Smaller title. Oops, again I forgot to tell him that it's Markdown. Okay. If you want to move a cell, you can use this arrow. For example, I press the arrow down and I move the cell here. Okay. So, the big advantage of Jupyter is that you can mix pieces of code with comments and titles. Okay, you can use also some formatting. For example, this is bold. Let's see. No, oops, sorry. Again, I forgot that it was Markdown. No, this is italic, and this should be bold. So bold with, if I remember, yes, with 2 asterisks. Okay. For the people who know to write in HTML, you can use full HTML inside. It works. So even full HTML works fine. So you can mix code with comments with title. So it becomes a little handbook. So it's an alternative as a handbook. I will give you already Jupyter files already prepared with my comments inside. You can also undo. Pay attention, because if you press Ctrl Z while this one is green, it means that you are undoing something. For example, something wrong. I write something wrong. Now I press Ctrl Z and undone. Okay, and Ctrl Y to redo it. If you are instead outside, so it's blue, to undo, or is to undo? Undo Z, but it's only to undo for the delete, so only to undo for this delete here. Okay, so if now I press Ctrl Z, what happens? Nothing happens, because okay. The save, there is an autosave working. Okay, so if I go back here, you can see I have this untitled.ipynb. ipynb is the default extension for Jupyter. Okay, untitled is the current name of the file. I can give it a better name, save as blah blah. Okay, I don't need to write extension, save. Okay, now it's blah blah, and you can see now also blah blah has appeared. Untitled is still here. I can delete it. For example, I select and trash it. Yes. Okay, I keep only blah blah. Okay. You can print preview. That's what you can do basically. Let's see. We'll talk later about interrupting the kernel, because for the moment it's not necessary. Or better, it's necessary, but you will not remember it, because until you bump into it, you don't remember. Okay, that's it. I think this is everything for a basic Jupyter introduction. Bye bye.